Hello YouTubers, Reloading Bench back with you once again. And what we have here is the Hero Cut inverter plasma cutter, the Cut 50 or the Cut 550 DP, which is dual purpose 110 or dual power 110, 220 volt. And one of the reasons, so I've been thinking about a plasma cutter for years. In fact, I'll have to go back and look on when I did my welding setup. It's been a few years. My welder is from Harbor Freight, and it was, I can't remember the model number, but it was a lot of money for the time. And I think that welder is more expensive now than it was when I bought it. And its comparable plasma cutter is almost the same price. And to me, for the amount of plasma, or excuse me, the amount of metal I would be cutting with a plasma cutter, just wasn't worth it for that. You know, I wasn't going to go out and buy a miller for my welding, spend that money, because I don't weld for a hobby or profession, very, very seldom. But I think it's a cool skill to have. And depending on when this video is posted, you know, I'm taking a welding class at summer school this summer at the community college. But I stumbled across somebody who's doing a video on Amazon plasma cutters, you know, or rather plasma cutters from Amazon, you know, super cheapies. And it got me to thinking, especially since I'm assembling my unisaw cabinet. There's a video I'll post, if I haven't already, on what a nightmare cutting this particular diamond plate was. It was just brutal, freaking brutal. I wouldn't want to do it again. And it got me to thinking, but maybe I'd do it with a plasma cutter. So as I started to assemble the unisaw, I unfortunately learned that my wonderful diamond plate strategy didn't work out as well as I thought it would in terms of hiding the cut imperfections, simply because of how that base is constructed. So I have come up with another idea that allows me to kill two birds with one stone, and that second bird is plasma cutting. So the first bird is redoing potentially the diamond plate cut, but instead of cutting with a combination of jigsaw and bandsaw, I would use this plasma cutter. So this is the latest addition to the channel, and before I order more diamond plate, I will take this out and experiment on this before I spend the money on yet another overpriced piece of diamond plate that may show up all scratched and shitted up like the other handful did that I made videos on, which I don't know if are out there yet on my channel. I don't believe they are, because I'm trying to space out the unisaw stuff, because I believe people don't like the unisaw stuff as much as, say, the reloading stuff. So I went out and I looked on the rainforest for what I would say is a reasonably priced, based on its features, plasma cutter. And this is beyond lightweight, very orangey. My looks like the default is 220. We've got tube in here. Hopefully that's for the filter or the regulator, or both. Let's see what we've got here. What we've got here, it's very pumpkin-ish. Reminds me of pumpkin spice from Starbucks. So it's a small unit. What do we got here? 12, 14, yeah, roughly about 12 by 14, you know, 12-ish, 14-ish by 9. by 6. So not a huge unit, smaller than the welder, much lighter. This is, because it has a pilot arc, it is a no-touch. So the tip does not actually touch the metal, which is kind of cool. The version of the Harbor Freight, at least years ago, that particular one did. There's my 110 adapter. That's a big boy. A little cheesy, but again, you get what you pay for. This is not high-end stuff. I will be reading the instructions, but you know, from what I've seen, this is as straightforward as, you know, attach. This looks like it's for the filter, and obviously here is my gun with the standoff. So the standoff keeps that tip, or it should keep the tip, from touching the metal. We'll find out right now. Yes, it's about 1/16 of an inch away. So this is as simple as plugging all of these adapters into here, attaching the filter, the ground, and the compressor, and then turning everything on, putting on my goggles, and cutting. So it's a little, you know, less complicated, I would say, than a welder is. Looks like a pretty straightforward water filter. It looks like the regulator's built in, so this is just a water filter from what I can tell. Or maybe this does regulate the pressure for here, because I don't see any way to regulate the pressure here or in back. So, and that's the air in. So air in better have a better way of coming in than what I'm seeing. And yes, it is returnable, as is everything I buy. Achoo! There's the allergies. Everything I buy from the rainforest. I want that peace of mind that if I spend, you know, a couple $100 on something, it's actually going to work. And I'm not seeing. So I'm wondering, a couple of replacement parts. I'm wondering, this air in, if that is for here. Let me bust out the directions for a second, because I would think the compressor is going to come in from here onto this regulator. That's what I'd be thinking, at least. Let's see what we got here. Looks like the directions are pretty straightforward. Okay, so air in is from regulator to here. And you can't see what I'm talking about. This particular cheesy, which is why they probably have the clamps. So it doesn't look overly complicated. Looks pretty easy to set up, and I'm guessing this is for the bottom of the regulator. Yeah, how to use the air regulator. Air in, air out. Yeah, so it looks like this goes right into the air regulator. Yeah, again, I'd want to take the case off and see what this is, how that's hooked up. if it's hooked up to some cheesy like that or what. But again, this is not an expensive plasma cutter. It's probably 1/4 the cost. It actually is 1/4 the cost of the Harbor Freight. So I will put everything together. I'll show it connected, and probably video 2 will be the figuring out what the. So when I say what speeds, I would be referring to. Naturally, everything has to touch. I'd be referring to the current, keeping it low. Oh, that's nice. And it's tactile. Oh, that's funny. Keeping it, okay. So 110 is in gray and 220 is in, all right, I'm not sure where I was at because my memory card filled up. I think I have to change my settings. I think I'm running too high. I should go back to 4.3 instead of 4K. But I was playing, I think, with the current, saying, why is the 110 gray on this side and the orange 220 on this side? You would think they'd be on the same sides, but I'll leave that alone for now. I don't know what 2T, 4T, and PT stands for. I can imagine what air and cut is, but I'm not sure, so I will be reading the directions. And the other, and I think this is kind of cute, the orange matches the orange. I've never seen orange from the rainforest. It's always been blue, so I don't know why that is. And I don't need my knife. So we've got, when I ordered this, I ordered the extra disposable, or rather consumables. That's probably a better choice of words. The extra consumables, because the last thing I needed to be doing was learning and destroying concurrently, and then running out of the tips, the standoff, all these wonderful pieces of joyful Chinesium. All right, so that goes in here. I will keep all of this in case something has to go back. But the next time you see this, it will be all connected. I don't know if we'll be ready to cut, but it will be all connected. And we'll call this one part 1 of the latest addition to the channel, and that is the plasma cutter. Later. As soon as I plugged it in, this time I had a huge air leak, so I was trying to trace it, thinking it was coming from the compressor in, and it was actually right here. And they give you these 2 clamps. This one worked fine. This one did not. I don't care how I did whatever. I think this was actually cutting into this plastic nylon tube. So, El Junco. All right, so we will try this again. So that's the setup. And I did adjust the compressor to 30, I think it was 30 pounds. So the air and cut, obviously air means air only, cut means you're going to start cutting. You're going to have arc. 2T means 2-touch, 4T means 4-touch, and this is post-touch. Kind of like a cool down kind of thing. So I will run 2-touch based on what I've read, or I shouldn't need to do anything above 2-touch. So naturally everything's touching. So we will once again try to connect this right-handed. I do not have an air leak this time. I will hold this. I will flick the unit on, and you'll watch. Ooh, you see a little light go tickety tick. So you'll see that I have this set to 30. Actually, it's not set right now because I'm gonna. There we go. So now you'll see that the air is set to kind of like the spray gun. You know, the air is set to 30 psi. And I'm not going to be doing any cutting at the present time. So everything is ready to go. So it's kind of just like the spray gun. It'll jump up, and then because of what's feeding it, and as soon as I decouple the air, you should see that drop. And it does. All right, so we are ready for first cut, which will not be tonight. So tonight was set up and test and get the air regulator and make sure we don't have air leaks and such. So a little bit janky, but again, you know, just like the Harbor Freight model or the Viver model, you get what you pay for. And we didn't pay a lot for this. We paid 25% of what the Harbor Freight. So what does that tell you when you're going 75% less than Harbor Freight? Scary territory. But again, you know, this should just work. I mean, it's air and torchy. That's an air torch, literally. But yeah, we're all set. So everything's connected. I'll leave this on until this gives me problems, and then I'll probably go with a potentially another zip tie. But I thought that was kind of funny. These were really quirky to get turning too. So I don't know if these are just super cheesy or what. But I mean, everything's there. Everything, you know, I'm going to use the term works, at least to my limited knowledge. So the next video will be a test cut on the aluminum, and based on what the manual said for aluminum, 110 volt aluminum up to 4 millimeters, 25 amp, 50 psi. So we're going to be cutting less than a millimeter. So we're going to run at 15 amp and 30 psi, and we're going to see what that does. You're supposed to drag cut. So you would, I don't have my piece of anything. So you would drag this as opposed to pushing it. So we'll test to see which side of the diamond plate is the better side to cut. Speeds, feeds, and how fast you drag is going to depend on what the quality of the cut looks like. So we'll play around probably this weekend. Later.